Thank you for downloading Grilled by the Staff Canteen. Please give us a follow or rate us depending on where you are listening, and if you do, this means more people will be able to find us and listen too. I'm Cara, the editor of the Staff Canteen, and in this episode, founder Mark Morris speaks to Matt Gillan. Matt is the chef director of Heritage in Sussex. He was previously at Pike and Pine in Brighton and held a Michelin-starred at the Pass at South Lodge. He has appeared on Saturday Kitchen, Yes Chef and The Great British Menu, where he successfully managed to get his main course dish to the banquet. Mark spoke to Matt about why he left Pike and Pine, his new venture, and his experience with Kickstarter.
Okay, rolling. Matt, firstly, thank you for inviting us into Heritage. Great to see you again. Before we talk about Heritage, let's start. Why are you here? Last time we spoke, you were at Pike and Pine. Great little restaurant down there in Brighton. So why leave there? Why come here?
I think,
Thanks for the tea, by the way.
That's all right. It's all right. Nice mugs, by the way.
Very nice mugs.
I think this is like my fourth staff canteen mug.
Evolution.
Yeah. Has it changed? Is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
There's a lot of blue sky thinking went into that logo.
White and blue. So Pike and Pine was, I think, just naturally kind of came to an end. And I know it didn't seem like we were doing it for long, but
how long were you there?
It was 2 years. I was there. So I started March-ish, came aboard about March 2016 and left end of 2018. So actually, it was quite an amount of time. But we opened Red Roast to Pike and Pine in the March 2017. So in terms of being open, it wasn't that long. But the whole process, it was just a good year before that, before I announced to anyone where I was. So.
And the concept was sort of, in essence, coffee bar during the day.
Yeah.
Nice place to eat in the evening, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Red Roaster was one of the pioneering coffee shops in the country. It's one of the first. And so when Mike took that on as a business, it was to rejuvenate that cafe side of it. But it was always closed in the evenings. And so that's the thing with cafes. And they're great space for pop-ups because of that reason. But yeah, they never open in the evening. So it was like, well, let's make more of it. And I was looking to leave anyway with the Pass. And so I just met with Mike and he said, I'll do the coffee side, the cafe side of it, and you do the fine dining side of it, and then we merge it. And the idea was like, yeah, it's really cool on paper, and it was bloody hard work, like really hard work. It was, we had 2 openings in the space of a month, I think it was. So,
but I guess it's 2 different clienteles, isn't it? Because I guess people come in during the day for a coffee and a bit of cake, and I'm not sure they would then become diners in the restaurant in the evening, or would they?
No, so we did have that crossover, but it wasn't like, it was more an Australian or LA style cafe.
Okay.
It was very kind of brunch centric. We didn't do too much cake at all. It wasn't that kind of focus on it. So obviously when we had been involved with food, it wasn't simple. So we did challenge ourselves a little bit on it, and then so when you've got a challenging daytime menu and then you kind of up the ante for dinner, it's for a very different clientele and a very different style. It was tough. It's good. We learned a huge amount with that, and that is a bad idea. It's not a bad idea at all, but it's really hard.
So when do you start thinking then that you want your own place and it's the right time in your career and at your age to start thinking about putting your name above something that is 100% yours?
Well, for me anyway, it was very early on in my career. Once I kind of got into cooking, and then I guess moved from Hen and Chicken where I was, and you end up at Gordon's, via Midsummer House, and it's like, I'd love to do this. One day, that's my goal. I want my own restaurant. I don't know if it's the same for everyone. I'm sure every chef when they start has this little pipe dream they want their own restaurant. But I guess as you progress through your career and just realise that just how hard the job is and what's involved in it, do you really want it? But that didn't go away from me. And so I guess all through my time at the Pass as well, I was thinking, well, I'm doing this for the hotel. And once you get that in your head, it's kind of difficult to shift, and you need to kind of give yourself a bit of a slap, really. Because if I'd left, let's say, halfway through my time that I did at the Pass and went to do my own thing, there is no way I would still be in business. There's none. Because I wouldn't have been ready. I wouldn't have been ready at the time. And even if I'd...
Ready in what way, Matt?
Just, I guess, just everything I've been through to open this now. Even if I'd done this straight after the pass, I don't think I'd have been ready. I needed actually that period at Red Roaster, that project that we opened, and as much as it wasn't, it didn't take huge amounts from learning from the food. It was kind of a lot of stuff I'd done before, a lot of techniques. From a business point of view, I learned a huge amount, and that was the stuff. Yeah. That was knowledge that I didn't have previously, and it put me in good stead for this, like massively.
I think that's one of the biggest things that we hear is, so if you take a chef, okay, a chef becomes a head chef because they're good cooks.
Yeah.
You get accolades because you're a good cook. You get recognition because you're a good cook. Your business skills can be absolutely awful, but you get to a level in your career by being a good cook. Then suddenly you have to learn to be a businessman. And that seems to be at the moment where there's a shortage in training for chefs during their development.
Yeah,
think that's
sure.
true?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was quite lucky at the hotel because as a head chef, I was a head of department. So we had our managers meetings. We got kind of hammered with the accounts. It was drilled into us. So I had a very good understanding of how P&L works and all those things. But it's and that's where the South Lodge Exclusive are very good. They give you that training. They give their managers the tools to do the job.
Like you say, in a hotel, you're effectively a department head, whereas if you're running a restaurant, it's much different, isn't it?
But a sous chef or a kind of a head chef that works under the owner, that kind of not exposed to that really, and it's important. If you want your own place, you've got to understand that, and there is a real lack of kind of financial training, management training, and it is just all about the food. And I think chefs are guilty as well in that nothing exists outside of the kitchen, away from that stove. And if you can't pick up and cut it, then it's irrelevant to your life. So, and actually, doing this, it's not the food's on the back burner, but it's not the be all and end all of this business. It's okay. Make sure people are the first thing, without doubt, the staff and our guests, and this is my priority list anyway. And then under that, I put the financials and then kind of the operation.
So get the people right, and everything else will follow.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it seems to be anyway for us.
We talk about training there, and I just want to pick up on one thing. Is you mentioned you work for Daniel, and I know Daniel and Mark have been down and done a night with you. I mean, you probably listened to or read the stuff with Daniel. He did a podcast with Paul Foster and basically said I was trained by psychopaths and I was a psychopath myself. I was
with Daniel in the early days as well, like literally at the beginning of Midsummer House. So
I think
he's not even exaggerating.
No, look, I think Daniel's been really open about it, and I don't think it's not something that people don't already know. I guess what I was going to say is, what was that kitchen like? And are kitchens now changing, do you think, or are people just paying lip service to the fact that kitchens are changing?
No, I think kitchens have definitely changed. And when I was with Daniel, we were talking, that was about 18 years ago, and he was brand new, and it was a very different industry, as you well know. And it was hard. It was a hard kitchen, but I learned so much, and I'm kind of, I guess I'm that generation of chefs that have been part of, with the bridge of what was before and what will be. We've kind of, like my generation of chefs, we're part of that kind of transition, and so it's quite an interesting place to be, really, as a chef, because you kind of still have one foot in the past, but realise that things have to change. No. I can't say I didn't mind, I wouldn't say every day at Midsummer House was a joy, but come out the end of it a very strong chef, and enabled me to go to Restaurant Gordon Ramsay, which then you get that on your CV, you can travel the world, which I did. So
I think Daniel's very true, isn't he? There is a lot of things with chefs that if you're taught to make a sauce in a certain way, you always make it that way, and you don't tend to challenge it, because that's the way you kind of always do it. And I think what Daniel was saying is that's how he was taught. Yeah. It's like parenting, right? If you're brought up badly, you end up being a bad parent. It just seems... So I guess the thing is, how do we in the industry make sure that we're not just teaching people to cook, we're actually teaching them to manage and to understand a business? You know, because as I said before, it's very much about, yeah, you're a brilliant cook, you're going to be sous chef next.
Yeah.
It's kind of how do we, you know, make that development. So you mentioned Gordon Ramsay there, you know, massive name. What's Gordon really like? You know, we see him on TV. He's very big, very sweary. You know, what's the real Gordon?
I think Gordon is. Well, when I was at Hospital Road, this was at the point where you know, Marcus Waring and Angela and Sarge, they all had their own restaurants. So by that point, I kind of missed that boiling point, Hospital Road kind of setup. But he came in every day. So it's because he'd only pop in and make sure everyone was all right, and you know, he was there for a couple of hours. It wasn't kind of the Gordon before. But you're still like on it. You still kind of shit yourself when he popped in. But he's just very fair. Come around, say good morning to everyone. You know, there's one day that I was horrendously ill, so he came back the next day and he was on it straight over to me. Like, are you all right? Are you eating? You know, just kind of genuinely cared, whether it was lip service or not. But it could well have been. But actually, you know, the fact that he came over and asked was
made
kind
you
of
feel
nice.
a lot better.
And just the guys that have been with him for a while, you get friendly with them and chatting, and you know, they give you an honest opinion of, you know, he's actually kind of a pretty funny guy. And yeah, I think boiling point was the reality, or was the reality, rather than the kind of the US shows. That's kind of, you know, it's extreme, isn't it? It's what
It's
they
all
want to
about TV
watch.
rating,
Yeah,
right?
it is a TV rating. Like, I don't think kitchens can operate like that. You know, with someone constantly shouting like every day. It just, even back in the day, it just can't.
So Pike and Pine. Pike and Pine. Heritage. Here today, talk us through the journey. What you know, obviously we know you crowdfunded it, but what's the start of this journey? Are you working out where your property is? Just how does Heritage come about?
So going back, I always wanted my own restaurant, and so I'm kind of a countryside boy anyway. Like, I grew up in small towns, and you know, the biggest place I'd ever lived was Cambridge when I moved there, and so that was a shock, and I like absolutely hated Cambridge.
You're from out near Alton way somewhere, aren't you?
Yeah. So I grew up in a little army town, but then you kind of come out of that town, you're just surrounded by countryside. So, and that's where I like to be, and so I always knew it'd be a countryside thing. I guess, you know, I just had this feeling. I didn't really give it much thought, but it just felt right. But this particular property was, I didn't go hunting for it at all. I wasn't looking for anything when I came out of Red Roaster. So it was a little bit before that I heard about this, and it was just through.
But you knew the property from old, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I actually didn't. Bearing in mind, you know, we're kind of like just
2
up the
minutes
road
down
from
the road,
South
yeah,
Lodge.
yeah.
I never heard, and I felt really bad for that. I didn't know.
I thought you sort of knew it as a boozer or whatever.
No, so I had I did my electro pirate stint at the Foresters, which is in Horsham. So so it's a little pub, and whilst doing that as well, I was still at Red Roaster, and so we did a private function there, and there's one of the guests that used to come to the pass a lot. So I'm throwing a lot of restaurants around. He used to come to the pass quite a lot, and he was at this party with his mate. He said, "Oh, it's Matt, you know, blah blah blah. He used to do this. He's at the Foresters now, doing electro pirate." And his friend said, "Oh, if you're after another pub, like there's a place not too far from you guys. Like it's been closed for a while. It's in this little village. It's called this. You should go and check it out." And because I wasn't interested, I wasn't looking for anything. I didn't really retain that information. So I think that was like a Friday night, and on the Sunday I was back at the Foresters, and one of the waitresses was talking. We were just having a conversation. I was like, "What are you doing at the weekend?" She said, "Oh, we had this big dinner party last night at the lady I work for." So, "All right, what's a big dinner party?" And she was like, "It was about 40 people." Like, 40? How big's her house? She said, "Oh, it's massive." I said, "Where is it?" She said, "Oh, it's a little village called Slatham." Is there a pub there? I said, "Yeah, it's the Checkers." She said, "But it's been closed for 2 years." I said, that's the one. That's the place that guy was talking about. So maybe I'll just go and have a look. So on the Monday that I did, I drove up and down through the country lanes and and then the village just kind of exposes itself, and then this like massive building. I thought this is it. This is actually.
So it was love at first sight.
Yeah, it was. I don't know if it was love, but it was just this feels right. Okay. Straight away.
But there was a connection.
Yeah. It's like, well, what do I do now? Like, I'm not really in. I kind of wasn't ready for it. I wasn't mentally thinking this was going to be the place and we're going to make this happen now. There was no kind of agency signs outside. There was nothing. It was just this like metal sheathed up building, and so I just thought, well, like let's try and dig a little bit further on this, and it went from there.
So you find the estate agent or whoever's looking after the property, and then
that took 2 days to find out. So it wasn't. It was just the Lanes Pub Company had the lease on it.
Okay.
And so
So what do you have now? Do you have the lease, or what's your position?
Yeah, so I have the lease. I'd love to own the building, but
right.
There's a monstrous figure attached to that. So I have the full lease on this for the next however long.
Okay, so you speak to the agent, you understand what the lease is. How do you start going about doing a business plan, and how do you start going about thinking, how am I going to raise cash for this? Do you go to the bank with a business plan, or what's that process?
Yeah, so the business plan kind of wrote itself.
Okay.
It's been writing itself for the last 20 years, and
so you had something tangible on paper, or was it all in your head?
It was kind of in my head at that point. Yeah,
but that's difficult to sell to a bank manager, right?
Yeah. So you have to get it down on paper. Yeah. But it's but I thought, and I guess this is why it was a little bit easier to write, because when I left the past and I went so with Red Roast and Pike and Pine, it was a move away from Michelin. It was as much as the initial idea was to kind of make Pike and Pine like amazing and kind of take it to that Michelin level, that the whole operation and logistics didn't allow that, so we kind of went a bit more casual, and it's quite nice actually. It was quite nice to just cook and just be busy but still get a reaction. And so I thought, maybe I'm done with Michelin now. Just I've had the star before and it's enough. But it's just this little kind of niggly feeling that it's like I'm not done yet. I've got there's just something I want. I enjoy cooking at their level for no other reason, like not so much for the accolades or anything like that. It's just enjoy it. And so when I saw the property, I was like, do you know what, this could kind of get us back there. It's got the bedrooms, it kind of allows us to do more with the restaurant and not worry too much about the GP and things like that. We can just push it. And so if I'm going to do this, like, it's got to be amazing. And so all that goes into the business plan as well. So we've got the location, we've got the property, we know the history on it, did a lot of digging and reading. So that goes in there just to build this picture, my background, and then where I want to go. It had to be all about hospitality. Bizarrely, it's just kind of a forgotten thing in hospitality. It's strange. Yeah. So that was a huge focus, like the main focus. And then you kind of plug in food, and then you plug in the wine lists and the kind of cocktails and bits and pieces. And
anyone help you with all this?
No.
Okay.
So I did it, just kind of downloaded everything on my head and then just tried to piece it all together. And I had a few people just look over and read it just to see if it made sense. Yeah. And then, it kind of.
So how do you work the numbers out then?
Just pluck them. Yeah, do you know? So
well, with Red Roast, to a degree, right? So, like all budgets, they're a bit of guesstimation.
Yeah. So I mean, like I was saying, we had access to all the financials with South Lodge.
Yeah.
So I knew how the parcels operated. I knew what I spent per head was, what our kind of food versus beverage was. And so it kind of roughly worked that out. But to also understand that we had a staff for 5 years, so we have to kind of peel back the pricing on that. Red Roast, a totally different beast. Town centre location, spend per head was low for the daytime, but we did a lot, whereas the evening was kind of a higher, so we did little. So it was just kind of trying to guesstimate based on the information we had, roughly what I wanted. This building can sit probably 120 people, 130 if I wanted, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So it's okay, well, I want to do 50 people maximum
Yeah.
in the restaurant. So what does that look like? How much cash do we need to generate
Yeah.
to pay the bills, to pay the wages, and just have a little bit that can just sit in the bank?
Yeah.
So this is what we need to be charging per head.
Yeah.
This is how many covers we need to be doing. So it's just, there's just numbers everywhere, trying to kind of build a story and a picture with what it looks like, whether it's even viable. Do you actually need to go down the route of doing burger and chips to get this busy, or does it have to be super destination and appeal to people that are going to travel a long way to come here? And that's where the risk is. It's like, people know it's a pub, but I don't want to do a pub because it's actually not going to fill it. But if you go high end and bump the price up, are people going to come?
Yeah.
It's a lot of throwing things around and seeing if it works, and that's where you kind of see whether it's you go down that route or you don't.
So you do your business plan, you get a figure, you need to raise X. Okay, so then what are your options? Do you go to the bank? Did you try the bank? Did you try investors? Was crowdfunding always your preferred choice?
No, crowdfunding, because I did a crowdfunding thing with Red Roasters. So we had we kind of ran out of cash, but we had this big plan for the garden and everything. So let's see if we can crowdfund it. And that was the problem with that one. It's like it was just kind of a bit blasé. Oh, let's just crowdfund it. And so we did. It didn't work. And so actually the crowdfunding was my last option for this place. So I had some cash in the bank, certainly not enough, but enough to go to people and say, like, I'm serious, I've got this much cash to put in the bank. I've also, my kind of house is on the line and all that stuff. So investment was the first route with private investors. And so I spoke to someone and just to help pull some people together. But I don't know a huge amount of rich people. And as much as I've met a lot of people along the way, and a few people say, I'd love to do something with you, as soon as you kind of push them on it a little bit, apply a little bit of pressure, then once it becomes a bit serious, like, oh no, I'm not in a position to do this. Okay, fine. So we went down that route, also to the banks, and bizarrely, I didn't need to borrow enough money from the bank, so they're saying, just put up against your house. So, okay, fine. I don't think Kara's going to be too impressed with that. So it's kind of, as much as you want to take a risk, like if you can avoid making your house the risk, it's definitely advised.
Especially
to
with
do
the family
that.
and everything else.
So investors was the main thing. So I found a guy to help me, and that was all kind of progressing, and there was something just, it didn't kind of pan out really between us. Once he came to see the place, he's like, it's way too big. You should just kind of do a restaurant. Don't worry about the rooms. You just rent the rooms out and get another agency to look after that. So but for me, like in terms of the business plan and the vision, the rooms are important to this as part of the journey, part of the experience.
So do you see the rooms then that's what makes it a destination, because you're quite rural? Is that if people wanted to come here, they have the option. Therefore, they don't need to worry about ordering off the wine list, because there's a room upstairs they can stay. They can make a weekend of it. Yeah,
absolutely. And when I saw it, so I look at my benchmarks for this place, a place like Satbanes or Longclone or Moor Hall. It's that these amazing places that you kind of do need to travel to, but it doesn't matter because there's rooms that, even if you don't choose to stay there, it's kind of it makes it more appealing straight away. So they got rooms, okay, well they're full, but you know what, there's hotels around there, and so it just adds another reason for people to look, even if you don't have the space. And so that's my thought with the place. Like, we can make it a real destination here.
So what makes you go down the crowdfunding route then? Obviously, you and the investor Park Company. Is that because it's the only option left to you now?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So I was sat there and it was late after this is kind of all unfolded. He said, I'm just not going to proceed with this. Okay, fine.
But better at that stage than halfway through.
Absolutely, for sure. And so it was like, well, what options are available to me? I've tried the bank, and bizarrely, like, they won't do it because I don't want enough money from them. Weird, isn't it?
we read everywhere that we're all borrowing too much and the nation's in debt and they're not interested because you don't want to borrow enough.
It's just like, no, I'll be honest with you, like you need to basically triple this figure for us to even consider loaning it. So you need to go like take out just a kind of private unsecured loan.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, really? Okay. So the investment. So I could have pushed a bit harder with the investors, but it's a weird thing to go. Like I'm not that person, that goes say, hey, like I've got this idea. Can I have £100,000 from you?
Yeah.
I just don't have those people in my life that I could do that. And some people do. That's amazing. Like, I'm quite jealous, really. So it's like, well, maybe we'll look to crowdfund it. Like, what is there at this point? What is there to lose? Because it's not going anywhere. This isn't going to progress now. So, and that's the last thing. So just give it a go. And so I spoke to Gary Usher. I think I messaged Paul. Might have messaged Paul about it. Did a lot of research. So I looked. So I use Kickstarter.
Yeah.
But I also looked at so there's Crowdcube. There's another platform very similar to Kickstarter. I can't think what it's called now. Indiegogo.
Okay, I know Kickstarter and Crowdcube. I mean, they're very different. And I like
absolutely very different. Yeah, and then Indiegogo as well. Gary mentioned to me, so I took a look at that. And they did I
guess if you're going to speak to anyone, Gary's the man to speak to.
Yeah, absolutely. I spoke to Gary when he did his first one. And it was successful. I messaged him saying, you are going to change the way restaurants are funded.
Yeah.
Like that's an absolute game changer.
Yeah.
And he's like, really? I said, yeah, without a doubt. Like, you've just cut out the banks. You've just cut out so much hassle, and made it a little bit easier, really.
And I think, like you said to me on the phone, in effect, what you're doing with crowdfunding is pre-selling goods and services in a restaurant. I think it's very different. Because you can trade meals, or it might have been Paul Foster said it, but I can't remember if it was you or Paul when I was talking on the phone. You are in effect pre-selling meals, gift vouchers, all of those types. It's not like perhaps a business where you have to give an equity stake away.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think this is where there's a lot of confusion about this as well, or a lack of understanding with people in general. So those that... Obviously, you have a lot of people that have, certainly here, we had 640 people that kind of got involved with backing the project. But there's this small pocket, I think Gary's tweeted it a lot, and you speak to Paul, and you hear these kind of murmurs as well about crowdfunding, he's begging for money, and it's just not like that. Yeah. It's not, we're giving something tangible back to people.
Yeah.
I did see something about, the cost of markup and stuff, what a meal is and what you're selling it for and how much you put in the business. And, it's kind of irrelevant. It's it's not any different to sending a gift voucher. It's not.
No.
It's we're just using the tools that we have at our disposal and just making it available to a lot of people in a short amount of time on a kind of special offer, really, and for people to be part of bringing a project to life, and that's what crowdfunding is.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
But people seem to, because it's a restaurant. I don't know what it is, but people can get a bit funny about it. It's he's begging for money.
I think people just see it as easy cash, and they don't realise it can affect you.
It's not. Yeah. Hey, it's like serious graft goes into that project. You kind of up till. So I was, funny enough, I was actually temping at South Lodge just while I was in between kind of bits they needed a hand, but it was great for me because it was I wasn't kind of time restricted, as in it wasn't time precious. I was literally there just to do some prep. It was lovely. It was really nice actually just to turn up, do some prep and go home.
So why Kickstarter?
I think because I used it before. Obviously Gary,
even though it didn't work when you did it.
Even though I didn't use it before, but I knew the kind of just how it worked, and it has a much larger reach, I think, to normal people. I think Joe Public are more aware of Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Just that the platform itself is kind of quite easy to navigate around, and I think it was more familiarity than anything, and I was more confident using that than the other platforms that I'd seen.
Am I right in saying that Kickstarter is an all or nothing platform?
Yeah.
So you say, I want to raise X, And if you don't raise it, you don't get nothing.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah.
So does that not add a big risk element to it?
Yeah, massively.
Okay.
And so I was thinking about £100,000 project.
Yeah.
That's kind of, well, I mean, this is £350,000. But I thought, look to crowdfund 100,000, and then it's that kind of conversation happens in your head. So what if it doesn't hit that? Then there is nothing. Then it's not happening. So it's okay. Well, let's drop it down. So at least there's kind of a bit more cash. If it happens, if it works, at least there's a bit of more cash in the pot that we can kind of get going with, and then we can get it off the ground, and then deal with kind of all the other bits a little bit later on. And so that's what I did. So I then dropped it to 60,000, and it wasn't kind of an arrogance thing. I wasn't thinking, we're definitely going to hit 60,000. I just thought it's more achievable to hit 60 than it is 100,000 based on the garden project. That kind of got, I think it got to 18,000 out of, I can't remember what the target was for that one. So I thought, well, let's just make life a little bit more achievable, or the target more achievable with that.
Do you have so when you start it up, then you need to raise 60k. What did Kickstarter take from it, first of all?
What was it? I think it's like 8%.
So do you have to factor that in? Do you have to think, I need 60k plus? Or was the 60k factored in with their commission?
Initially I didn't really think about it. So it's 60. So if you hit 60, then they will then take their 8% off. I think it's 5% plus 3% processing fees.
Credit card transactions, right? Yeah, because everything's pledged, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
And it's only released if you hit the figure. Is that right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So then you'd lose that 8%. So if you hit 60, then you lose kind of 8% of that.
So in effect, for simple terms, if you're looking for 60k, you really need to say you want 70k.
Yeah.
Because you might as well round it up to say, just so I can do the sums in my head.
Yeah, exactly. But then you need to hit 70k rather than 60.
60k, yeah.
So
it makes the start. Yeah.
So you cover your costs, but then you run the risk of not hitting that target.
Yeah. And do you when you're before you start the campaign, do you have like a program in place? Do you think, okay, so I need to do guest nights, I need to invite people, I need to do vouchers? Have you got all of those gifts sort of worked out in your mind, what you're going to do?
So I just did a list of, I basically photocopied Gary Usher's.
Yeah, but why not?
No, so I
why reinvent the wheel?
So there's certain key things. So lunch for two, dinner for two.
Yeah.
With the rooms, we can do a dinner, bed, and breakfast. And so you compile a list of kind of like standard bits.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we make it meat? How do we make it heritage? What can we offer that you can't get anywhere else?
Yeah.
And so I can't think what we did. So obviously the herder book from Great British Menu, that's a little thing. We can do a masterclass based on the goat and just super exclusive. I think it's 8 people for the masterclasses, and then partners to join for the lunch. So it was 16 people. That's it. We did 2 hits of that. We've got bedrooms, so we would name a bedroom, and then on the back of that, some people suggested, why don't you do a name a bar stool? I was like, okay, that's a cool idea. So we did 12 of them, and then someone got in touch saying, I'll KP for a day. I'll pay to KP for a day. I was like, you're mental.
Wow.
And then it slipped out of my mind. I got kind of busy, and this is once the project had started. And he got back in touch. So I'm serious. So put it up there, and I'll do it. So I did, but I thought I can't just put one, so I put 5 like KP for a day for a £5 or something, and they just went. They went in a day. So all right, I'll put 5 more up, and they went. It was mental. But that just shows like how much people want to get involved with it. I mean, they might not even come in and do that shift, but it's just a bit of fun, and it's like, a £5, and I've kind of helped contribute to this project. You're not asking people to put hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of pounds into this. It's literally it's £5, it's £15, it's £50. It's it's all affordable, and you get something back for it.
And I think again, I got this from talking to Paul. Kickstarter is much more aimed at individuals making one pledge, rather than an investor saying, "I'll put 80 grand in."
Yes. Yeah.
I think Kickstarter's more of a sort of, as I say, single one-off, small pledges. Would that be fair?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the restaurants, Kickstarter wasn't set up to help fund restaurants.
Okay.
If you look, it's much more kind of like project, like individual projects. So if you come up with, I don't know, a new phone, you designed like the most amazing phone. So you've got this one thing and you put it out there. You've got a prototype and you sell it. You can buy one of these for this amount, two of them for this amount, and so it's like a single item. That's from what I can gather anyway for Kickstarter. Is there's a lot of projects that are like that, and to help get this concept off the ground. So restaurants are a little bit different because we don't have this one thing. I guess there's all sorts of little things. So if you look at a restaurant pledge page on Kickstarter and compared to I don't know, a single item thing, they're very different, and so yeah, you have all sorts of kind of combinations of things.
But it sounds like you had a story already in place, obviously with your business plan, and I think that's important as well when you're crowdfunding. Is that you've got to put a story into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you can't. I did a lot of research.
I'm
like,
Matt. I want to the pub. Give me some money.
Is
not going to win, is it? It's
no,
not going to work.
Not at all. Not at all. I almost didn't do a video either.
Okay.
So I was looking at. I watched loads of videos. So not just restaurants, but successful. Successful projects that work. So across. So there's like storybooks. There's films, like mini films. Tech things. There's so much on it, and some are really successful. Some like really don't work out at all. And it's like it's looking at why did they work, why didn't they work, and all those things. So I wasn't going to do a video, and then I thought, right, I need to do a video, but I'm just going to do. Having watched a few that have been successful, it's just kind of someone sat in front of a laptop. So yeah, perfect. And I did it. I thought, this is crap. Like, this is actually terrible. And it was getting closer to launch time for the Kickstarter, because the date, sort of bouncing between things. But,
that's okay.
I looked at dates as well, so the perfect time to launch. And so when I did it, I actually crossed over 2 pay dates.
So
okay.
So how do you calculate the perfect time to launch it?
So I guess timing was just the time of the year, and things and conversations happening with this as well, and just coming out of the unsuccessful kind of chats with investors. That was just the time it was for me. So it was kind of January, I think.
Okay.
So when I was looking, so it was around that, right, I'm going to do this, okay, I need to do it soon-ish. So I think I did a month lead up time, which then put me into February. But because month of February is such a short month, then I crossed over February payday and March, I think. So it was a little bit of luck, but of the timing of it. But when I was looking at it, it was like, okay, these are the dates that needs to do. And I spoke to Gary as well about, so that they say that the most successful time period is 30 days.
Okay.
And then again, if you look at kind of the flow of kind of when people pledge and then it drops off. So at the beginning you get the spike, and then through the middle, kind of like 20 days, it then kind of, or like 15 days, it then kind of drops a bit and then picks up at the end when you put more emphasis and kind of pressure on everyone and start kind of ramping up the campaign again. So I said to Gary, what if you just cut out the middle bit and just did it 2 weeks? He's like, I don't know. Like, yeah, possibly. Could work. He said, I don't have the answer to that. I don't know. And so I was looking for 2 week projects. So I did a huge amount of research as to like kind of geeky research that how what
that's important,
successful.
Right? You can't just wing it, can you?
No, and that's what I learned with the first one, because we were busy with opening that restaurant as well, and I just didn't have the time to do it. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, it would be all right. Just kind of throw it in there, come up with some rewards, and it would just do its magic. I've been on Great British Menu, it'd be amazing. It'd just be easy. No, you have to work hard for it, and that research bit is absolutely key. Like your business plan, the story, and then going back to the video. So I had everything in place. I was like, I need to do a video. And the reason why I didn't do it is because we spent a bit of cash doing the video for Red Roaster one, and it was just it just came across as quite forced and a bit unrealistic, and the story wasn't kind of really there. There was no passion to it. It was too scripted. So, but I got Mike, who did that video, gave him a message and said, right, look, this situation, I don't have a huge amount of money for this. I don't have a lot of time, but I need a video for a Kickstarter, but not what we did then. And he said, okay, right, I think I'm free like in about 4 days. I was like, okay, perfect. I'll see if we can get on site, and we'll do it on site. So we managed to do that. We had a quick chat on the phone as to what we wanted to do. And so we got here, he's like, what do you want to chat about? I was like, I literally kind of had some scribbled down bits, some bullet points. So, right, we just need to cover this. Like, I'm not going to script it. We'll just kind of, you tell me what we need to talk about, and I'll talk about that. And then we'll walk around and we'll get some shots. Because we only had like an hour and a half here, I think, or 2 hours. So we had to be quick. And yeah, that's how it went. And because it was so natural, and because the story, I guess, is it's a passion project. You know, it's kind of is the culmination of like it's the goal, it's the dream, and you know, I stepped in here and had all these plans and super excited, and that's the thing that people bought into. It's the story, it's the passion, it's honesty, and I think that's what worked for me anyway.
So you need to raise 60k. You've got all your story, everything's there. Did you do it for 2 weeks in the end or not?
No, I did it for 30 days.
You did it for 30 days.
I panicked.
Okay. So you press the button, it goes live. Have you got things in place like the night with Daniel, like the night with Michael, or does that come later? Do they see the Kickstarter and then come to you? How does that work?
Yeah, so they were later. So okay. I have my list of rewards. Also, you need to bear in mind that you need to be able to kind of hit your target with the amount of rewards you have, and things that, and be realistic with, can you deliver them?
Yeah. Because I guess there's nothing worse than promising and not delivering, because that would give you a really bad name.
If you put 20 lunch for 2, you know, actually it's and you know, you don't kind of work out how much you're going to generate from this. You could actually kind of screw yourself and not actually be able to hit your target. So that was a real kind of a kind of a bit of a later thought actually. I kind of did all these things. Oh, right, cross. We're not going to hit this, so I need to put some more rewards on this. But yeah, once it went live, and then, like I say, the Barstools kind of someone messaged about that you should do that, or I can only pledge for this, but I want this one as well. And that's a bit of a downfall with Kickstarter, that you can only pledge on one thing. So then you either need to set up another email address or things that, or then start building packages, and then all of a sudden you've got like a list of 100 pledges, and then it does get a bit silly, and it becomes a bit off-putting for people. So, but yeah, when it went live, Daniel then rang me. I was just parking up at a shopping centre in Horsham. He's like, right, what can I do for you? I was like, what are you talking about? I was a bit surprised he rang me, to be honest. I was like, what do you mean? He said, like, what do you need? What do you need from me? I was like, Chef, I genuinely don't know what you're talking about. He's like, Kickstarter. Like, what do you want me to do? I was like, I don't know. He's like, come on, like, do you want me to come and do a dinner? Do you want to come up here, do a dinner, or
brilliant,
or whatever? And I was like, look, give me like 15 minutes. Let me just process this.
So that probably makes up all the beastings he gave you back.
Well, yeah, and that's it, and that's the beautiful kind of thing with mine and Daniel's relationship. You know, I've known him for a very long time, and you know, I worked hard. I did 3.5 years with Daniel, which is not a lot now, but back then it was like, you know, it was a long time. And yeah, it's just kind of we stayed in contact all through, and you know, and this is kind of credit to Daniel as well, and how that he's evolved as a person, as a chef, as a mentor. He's like, right, well, like, I can help you here, you know, and you know, he kind of uses his profile to then help others, and it's amazing, you know. So we said, right, if you come down here, because I think it's more special, like it's kind of irrelevant me coming to your restaurant, because it's like I don't supersede you at all, but you coming down to Sussex, and then it creates a bit of a buzz. It'd be amazing. Absolutely. You're the guest, the focus is on you. And so we did that, and I think we worked out the kind of the content of that. So it was 5 courses, wine flight. Right, what do we need to price that And then gave 2 days notice on it, and then threw it on there. That sold out in 20 minutes.
Brilliant.
But in that period, Michael O'Hare got in touch. So, do you need me to do something? I'll come down and do a dinner. I was like, yeah, absolutely. And so it's gave me exactly the same criteria.
So when did your relationship with Michael begin? Is that GBM?
That was GBM, yeah, totally. And yeah, we just kind of. Well, I mean, everyone got on. You know, there was no with Great British Menu. There was no kind of that year. There was no heroes. There was no kind of arrogance. Or everyone just got on. He's just funny. He's super funny as well. We've kind of been in contact with him, and I've been up to see him a few times at his restaurant. I went for dinner with him at Rabbit in the Moon and stuff. It's just it's not like we talk every day. Everyone builds up so especially Joe Public thinks we're like best mates and we hang out all together.
But I guess it's great that you have these figures that are prepared to help, and if nothing else, it gives amazing visibility to your Kickstarter project.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I don't know what Michael's Twitter following is, but I know it's pretty big.
Yeah.
So getting him involved really helps, I guess. And the thing is, how important was social media in that campaign to you?
Oh, it's everything. That is the only way to do it. I don't know how you could get the message out there without it. And bizarrely, it was Twitter. Twitter was where I got. Yeah, and so most of my following, most of my engagement actually comes from Twitter. And I think because I was on Twitter way before I was on Instagram, and I embraced Twitter much more. And I guess that core, when I was on Great British Menu, I wasn't really doing Instagram at all. I'd kind of come off it. And so, there's a huge following on Twitter for that. And that's where it was most responsive, bizarrely.
So you hit your target, which is great. How long does it take to hit the target?
6 days.
Wow. And I think you went over, didn't you?
Yeah. So when it's really not. It's a weird thing. So when
So do you wish you asked for more now then?
Well,
because obviously you originally wanted 100, but then you thought 60 would be better.
Yeah, and I don't know, because then it would have changed the project. I genuinely think.
You think you got the number right?
I think the number was right. And 100,000, that's 40,000 extra, and that's a lot of pressure. If you don't hit that 100k, then 40,000 pounds it's not. It doesn't just happen. It takes a bit of work to make it happen. A lot of people say, "Oh, you should have asked more." Well, no, it was right. I think it was the right figure. It was the right time. That everything was just right about it. And which made the project, it made it fun as well, because it just wasn't it wasn't as pressurized as I'm not Gary Usher. I can't just turn on a tap of the kind of.
Did you factor in working capital? Because there are always going to be weeks where, when you do a business plan, there are always going to be weeks where you're quieter than you think, and therefore you don't take as much cash in as the business. You might make it up, but ultimately everyone still needs paying at the end of the month. Yeah. So from a cash flow perspective, did you make sure that you had working capital? Yeah,
I tried to. I mean, in terms of doing the figures, I tried to kind of do that, but it's really difficult when you don't know what you're going to be bringing in. You're literally working on fantasy figures, and so I tried to be very conservative, not pessimistic with them, because otherwise the business won't go anywhere. Yeah. But just be realistic with what we can do, the location, and I understand this area as well, which is kind of a real bonus. Then trying to take those figures and put. You build the P&L, but then what does that actually look like in a cash flow kind of scenario? It's just the resident ghost.
I was just going to say, you got a ghost.
And so that was a tricky bit. It's like, how do you even guess that?
Yeah.
We're just guessing what money's going to come in and roughly what we're going to spend. Yeah. Wages was quite an easy one.
Because what it's going to pay. Yeah.
How that. So you have a rough idea of how it's going to come in and come out, but actually what I did on paper is nothing to what the reality of this place is genuinely bonkers. Yeah. And I guess that's the one thing I didn't have much experience with, certainly from the hotel. You get a spreadsheet saying what the cash flow is and things like that, but when you don't manage the money,
when you're physically managing it, paying the bills,
and I think that's the biggest learning curve for me. like cash flow. I know cash flow is important, and
I think cash flow brings more businesses down than any other thing.
Yeah, and with Electropart, I had that, but it was a very different. It was a small operation, and it took, one payment at the end of the week. I paid my suppliers once, and I only had to pay myself and one of the chef, and so it was easy. It's just you just do it in these kind of blocks. Whereas this, I wasn't expecting the cash to flow in and out as it does, and it just it was been like thrown in a tumble dryer for a bit. It's probably 6 weeks of like, bloody hell, I need to get control of this business, because actually if we keep going like this, we're going to be out of business by Christmas, because I haven't got a clue what's going on here. And I thought I was quite clued up about finance, and so I spent a week just watching, like just recording exactly how things are coming in and coming out. It was more like when the money comes in, it's just, it kind of, you've got like Visa, MasterCard payments coming in, then Amex payments coming in, you've got deposit payments coming in, and gift voucher payments coming in, and it was just, everything is, nothing matched up.
I don't think people realise as well, isn't there? There's always a lag on credit card payments. So even if I come in for a meal, pay on credit card, it's not like that money drops directly straight into your bank. There is a lag between me paying for a meal and you getting it into your, and that's things you have to factor into your cash flow as well.
Exactly. And it's, I've done events and things like that, and it's very different. You kind of set up your your booking system for an event, and because it's all prepaid for a pop-up, like you just see it and it just sits in a pot, and the release date for it, and so you can work with that. So I mean, it's luckily we understand it now, and kind of the staff do as well. So going back to like what we were talking about earlier, we put everything in a graph, and like the graph is bonkers. Just a line for money coming in, a line for money coming out, what the bank balance looks like, and how that affects kind of everything, and then watch it fall off a cliff at the end of the month when we pay the staff. But they need to understand that. It's like, oh Matt, we need some new glasses, or we need some gastros, or we need a sieve or a jug. It's like, that's cool, but we just have to wait. And I was like, oh well, this is why. We've all been in those situations where we want stuff in restaurants and kitchens and keep getting told no. So but you're not, you're just told no, whereas actually, right guys, this is the reason why. So you can have this stuff, but it's either you give up something else to have that, or we'll just everyone get behind the marketing, spread the word, get it busier. Just not kind of like we don't forcibly upsell people here. We just want people to come back, and that's the biggest upsell for us. Kill them with kindness. Just make them want to come back, and then as we get busy, you can have this stuff. And that's the reality. That's how it works. So
you're open. We're sat in Heritage today. It looks fantastic. Talk us through Heritage. What is it? Number of days you open. What's the food style? And it's obviously got a bar area, or a restaurant area. So just give us an overview of Heritage.
Yeah. So Heritage is for
Why
me.
Heritage to start with? Why Heritage?
So I can't tell you that.
Oh come on!
I will tell everyone. I will release that, and the reason why is because it's like it's very personal to me.
Oh, okay.
But I also don't want it to be the talking point of this business. I don't,
because it wasn't Heritage, was it? Before you took this over,
this was the Checkers. This was the Checkers, and it was Checkers for a long time. Very successful about 10-15 years ago, and then funnily enough, run as a fish restaurant. It was very successful as a fish restaurant. They did game as well, and then Paul Graham is the guy that ran it as that. I think there's a few other people at that point when it was successful. And then as he left, they closed up, and then handed it over to some pub companies, and then they traded it as a pub. Weirdly, that's at the point at which it started not to do so well. Bizarrely, a pub being run as a pub wasn't as successful. Weird. Excuse me. So it was closed for 2 years, and when I looked at it, I had a very clear idea of, do you know what, this can't be a pub anymore. You follow the trends of pubs, and just that the industry as a whole, and things have moved, they've changed, they've shifted.
There are very, very few wet-led boozers still around, right?
Well, because there really is, and this place is. I mean, we're just off the A23. We're 10 minutes, 15 minutes from Horsham, Haywards Heath, 20 minutes from Gatwick. So around us, there's a lot that's not too far. However, you have to drive to get here.
Yeah.
And we can't rely on the local trade to kind of support, like keep the business afloat. We obviously want to be conscious of them and not alienate them, but you need people to be coming further afield, and that's where it was like, this is perfect because I can actually do what I want to do. It has to be higher end. It has to be a destination. That's the only place it's going to work. Well, that's how I pitched it anyway. That's what I told myself. And it gives me an excuse to actually move back into that fine dining world, and and just shout about that and not be kind of scared or nervous about saying fine dining or high end or a little bit expensive, because that's what it needs to be. And
do you think fine dining's got a bad name then?
I think over the last few years that everyone's kind of quite nervous about saying fine dining.
Is that because it conjures up images of starched tablecloths and,
I think so.
waiters and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the more you don't say those words, you are not helping the evolution of fine dining.
Okay.
So
what in your mind is fine dining then? If someone says to you it's fine dining, what comes to mind for you?
So an experience, that's fine dining. I want a food-led experience. That's going to be a little bit different. I'm not expecting it to be cheap, but I think money's a very different thing. I think and it's a very personal thing. So to some people we are expensive. To some people we're amazing value.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult thing. Like our prices are the price. Like that for us to operate as a business, that's what it is. But yeah, fine dining for me personally, it's there's something special. There needs to be something special in your offer, whatever that may be. And for us, it's people. Like that's our biggest thing, and it just happens that we kind of do nice food as well. So do you
have to? Obviously, you've got a bar area in the restaurant. Is it two different food offers?
Yep. Yeah. So that was a very conscious thing. So the rooms. There was two massive rooms really, and the room we're sat in now was actually a bedroom.
Oh, okay.
Odd. I divided it up, and that was the design of it was led by the drive here, to be honest, because it was like journey. So whichever way you come, you have to come through like windy roads, like overhanging trees, probably a massive puddle like over the last couple of days. So that was it was journey, and then. As you come through the building as well, I wanted it to be a bit more, not just walking into the restaurant. So we designed each room very differently. And so with the front, we kept that very accessible, so not to alienate anyone.
Yeah.
Kept the bar. You can still come in and have a pint. Food offer there is sort of steamed buns, tacos, but I didn't want it to be pubby.
Yeah.
So it's still the casualness and accessibility of the local boozer, but not in a way that when you rock up to, for your 20th wedding anniversary all suited and booted, that it feels odd in the front. So that was actually the hardest space to design. How do you make it feel nice and casual without making it feel like you've just everyone's going to turn around and stare at you.
Yeah.
So
and then the restaurant?
And so the restaurant is so we run quite a lot of menus actually. It was more to just test the waters and see where we needed to go. And obviously there's been a lot of chat about tasting menus are dead and all that stuff, which is I read a piece that sat dead actually, and funnily enough, because it's the same thoughts, and I've been saying it for a long time actually, that tasting menus aren't dead. People are more clued up about what they should be. I
thought it was a really interesting article for that, actually.
And it's true. Like we do so many. But anyway, so for lunch we have a 3-course lunch menu. So 333, 27.50.
So what's a typical restaurant dish then?
For us?
Yeah.
It depends. We're still evolving. We've been open kind of 10 weeks now, and it's just so lunch we were kind of mirroring the a la carte and tasting menu a bit, and actually we've just kind of distanced them a bit just to kind of give a reason for kind of price points and experiences. And so lunch, I'm not saying we don't put effort into the lunch menu at all, but but it needs to be reflected in the price of the produce, and
Yeah.
so it's still tasty, but it's just a little bit different.
Okay.
So lunch we have what have we got there at the moment? So we've just done a little fish cake with the scallop roe velouté and like mouli salad, a herb oil. So
Nice.
it's kind of, it looks really simple.
Yeah.
Very, very minimalist in its presentation, but the flavour's just like amazing. And that's the biggest thing, like everything, it's all about the flavour regardless of the price. The main course, one of the main courses, lunch menu, just fillets of place which we rolled up, just smoked sweet corn leek with sweet corn sauce, pickled radish. So again, it's like, so lunch we kept it kind of, this is not like me at all, but kind of like three like things on the plate, and just keep it very simple, very tasty, and that's kind of where our lunch crowd is, I think, at the moment. We also do the a la carte and tasting menu run at lunchtime, and then we put, I think we had a busy Saturday a few weeks ago, like full restaurant or something. We should put another menu on. Everyone's like, oh, bloody hell, man. Like another
I'm just
menu.
thinking, you're really busy and you go to another menu on. What's the logic?
So the logic is, so you have a lunch menu for so over £22 like entry level price really, and then so 27 3 courses, and then the next jump is you're probably looking at about £40ish for the a la carte, and so there's a big gap like right in the middle. So as much as we kind of like get one tasting, that sits right up here. Kind of at the other extreme to the lunch menu, and so why can we not give that experience but a more affordable price point for lunch? And so it's not as long, it's not as drawn out, doesn't feel as celebratory, but it's still a little experience. So we put a 5-course tasting menu on for £35, and it's kind of like, it was a genius, like really, and it kind of steers people, like the leap up from lunch menu just to a little bit more of an experience, is like £7. So
just to wrap this up, because I've taken up far too much of your time already. You've only been open a short period of time, but with a crystal ball, what's the future for Heritage? What is success? Clearly, keep trading is primary goal, but what's success for you? Is it accolades? Is it bums on seats? Is it, what is success? You're obviously very young, very ambitious. What's success for you?
I used to be young, Mark. It's been a long time since we first had a conversation. I'm not that young man anymore.
Bloody long time.
So success for me, it's funny. I've done I had a few people ask me that question, what's success? And I always say just to be open in a year, and everyone's like, really?
No,
it's like, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think because we understand how volatile this
Yeah.
industry is, and how
how many restaurants go bust.
Yeah, and we've got the dreaded B word coming up,
Yeah.
and like no one knows what's going to happen. I don't think it'll affect us massively, like personally, just because sort of, like all my staff are local. We use a lot of local produce, and so. But I'm still got an eye on it.
Right?
It's kind of as much as it won't affect us too much internally. Like who's not going to be coming anymore? So there is a little bit of that, but I don't worry about it too much, because otherwise you just lose sleep over everything, won't you? Like what will be will be. I can't control it, so we'll see what's going to happen with that. But that is coming up, and it's like, well, and wages are going up, and so that margin for that
cost
kind
of
of
food's going up as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so I think there'll be a lot of changes over next year. We'll look at it. I'm not panicked about that, but just staying in business would be amazing. That's the biggest thing. Next thing, so we've still got the bedroom project to finish, but ultimately, like the ultimate goal is to, I guess. Everything's gone into this now. Like this is a huge risk, and I moved out of the Michelin world, and then kind of I want to get back into it, and I'm not going to be shy about it. I would love to see this place achieve a Michelin star, and just from the guys that have come in, because I think they have a few expectations, just my background and what we've talked about, and they want to be part of that as well.
Sure.
But I've said if we're going to do this, we should be pitching out, and I mentioned so like kind of like research and resource points are Sat Baines, Long Clume, like these destination 2-star restaurants. And I'm not suggesting that we will ever be a 2-star place, but you know when you're delivering something more than what kind of accolades would suggest sometimes. You know, we found that with the past before we had a star. We're like, you know, I don't know whether we're worthy of a star or not, but I know what we do is very, very good.
Yeah.
And it's a nice feeling. You don't need the accolade to kind of back that up. And so that's why we're using these reference points, because that's the level of service we want to deliver in the product, and it just keeps people moving. You know, that kind of slightly out of reach goal that just keeps people focused. And so if we're hitting that level, it doesn't need to be reflected with accolades, but if we are perceived to be hitting that level, we feel like we are, that'd be amazing, you know, for me.
I think that's a really good point to end it, so thank you very, very much.
Absolute pleasure, Mark.
Thank you very much.
We hope you enjoyed this interview, and if you have any comments, feel free to tweet us or comment on the post. We're making all of our interviews available to download. And finally, if you like what we do, whether it's our podcast or our videos or even our features, please head over to our Patreon page and support us there.